Rabbit Road.
Hello, I'm Kevin Road. I'm a town of Lysander resident. I echo pretty much everything that was said today. The process, we just got the maps last night, early this morning on the website. One thing I would suggest to the committee is put the original map up there so people have a reference point. I printed them out myself and going back and
it's hard to hear better.
sorry,
Thank you.
I printed the map out myself on the original, and it's very difficult to see the difference in changes or maybe a possible overlay of each map over the original map so people understand what's changing. The timeline, this is way too rushed. We're making a decision that's going to be over the next 10 years. It shouldn't be done in 6 weeks. One thing I will say about the maps is it's interesting to see how Lysander gets carved up. I would guess that the majority of Lysander is going to lean a little more Republican, no matter which map you go with up there. And me being a resident of Radisson, I'm going to probably fall in that middle clay one. But it's disappointing because I grew up in the northwest corner, pretty much at the end of the county line. The one thing I do like about county legislatures is they have to represent a different monochrome of people. You go from rural areas to city areas, and there's really no way in Onondaga County to get around that, no matter how you cut the map up. But I think our county legislatures should also understand who they represent, and if they don't know them, get to understand those people. Because you should have the concerns of everybody. And I believe in the paper something was said about, the Southwest on map 1 being one swath and how people in Skaneateles may have a different concern than the people on the east side. Well, the current maps right now, people at the south end of Skaneateles probably have a whole different set of concerns than the people in the village of Skaneateles. So the maps the way they are right now, farmers probably don't care too much about how much Adam Weitzman's building in the village of Skaneateles. Thank you.
Joan Durant.
Another person who can't see or hear with a mask on. I'm glad to see the maps. My name's Joan Durant. I'm from the town of Marcellus. I grew up in DeWitt. I don't understand them very well because I have no data. Population data is one of the things we look at. It's only a minor part, I think. Because that would be easy if we just went population, just draw lines and you're done. But that's not all what it's about. Most of my adult life I've spent registering voters and educating voters. I feel that voting is a right and education is a responsibility. Not everybody has the time to educate themselves, so that's why I feel that it's part of what I'm about, to make sure there's information out there for voters to be educated. This process has not allowed citizens of this county to be educated, at least not me. I've done this in a nonpartisan way because truthfully, in my heart, I don't care how you vote. I want you to vote. And I want you to vote with the knowledge of what you're doing. Now I have my own thoughts, and I try pretty much to keep them to myself, not always. And every 10 years we have this opportunity, this wonderful opportunity to look at our population and to see where it's changed and what we need to do with maps. But population, as I said, is not alone, is not all of it. We need data to draw these maps. Yeah, they need to be contiguous, and that's why we get lobster claws. And they need to be compact. But so important, we need to keep communities of interest whole. We need them to feel that they're part of something. We need them to be able to go to the representative and feel that person actually cares. We'll answer their emails. We'll answer their phone calls. We'll have some contact with them. I don't feel that a lot of where I am, but that's my problem. I did hear in one of the first meetings of the commission that population had changed very little. 2%, 2.4%. So all we needed to do was tweak the maps. In that first 13 minutes that I listened to, I thought, the decisions have been made. Why are we going through the sham? Why participate in this? And then I thought, damn, I want to be on the record. And I want to participate because I have a problem. I don't know the rest of the process. Again, I haven't been educated in it, and I don't know where to get that information. I've heard things like the final maps are going to be voted on by November 3rd. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's by tomorrow they're going to be voted on. So I asked, why are we having these public meetings? I know the answer. We have to. But are you going to listen to us?
Yeah. No.
Do you care what we've had to say? And it's we the people. You are the people too. But we all have to work to this together. And we heard that people should choose their representatives shouldn't choose. That's, do we believe that? Ten years ago, we worked on a whole regional approach to doing all this. I don't know, it doesn't sound like it's the best approach. So it's more than just tweaking. We need a redoing. I don't know if these are final maps. I've heard no, this is just part of the game. I don't play games real well. I do know that when we're in conflict situations though, we as adults, even as kids, we can teach this. But as adults, we can figure our way out of this. On the way here, the Beatles, now that gives something to my age out, played We Can Work It Out. Can we? Because to resolve any kind of a conflict, we have to want to. And from the discussions I've heard at the commission level, they haven't been civil. There's been no discussion. There's been yelling. There's been people who haven't spoken much at all. I don't blame them, because if I spoke, I'd probably not be, it wouldn't be good. So these decisions we're making, you're making, I'm not making them, are going to be with us for 10 years. And let's give us some time to make sure that we've gotten it right.
Next, Dana Bolter.
Good evening, everybody. So I saw a clip online of what I think was yesterday's commission meeting. The chair of this commission, am I saying his name correctly, Mr. Huslander? Hulslander. Okay. So I saw a clip of Mr. Hulslander telling somebody who came to speak at a meeting that the commission was not here to answer our questions. I was really hoping Mr. Hulslander would be here tonight because I have a few questions for him. And although I understand you're not going to answer my questions, I'm going to ask them to you as members of the commission. First of all, how many members are there on the commission? There are 3 in the room right now. Does anybody else out there know how many there are on the commission? 6. Okay, so half the commission is absent. Why? If, according to Mr. Hulslander, the point of these meetings is to listen to what we have to say, it's kind of hard to do that if your ears aren't in the room. Now, I also heard him mention something about reading transcripts. So, Mr. Hulslander, even though you are not in the room, I'm speaking to you and I hope you read this transcript. I think the people are owed a lot of answers. And the purpose of these public meetings, if, to Joan's point, they were really intended to help the public understand and learn and be part of the democratic process, there would be conversation. There would be questions answered. It's not enough to put pictures on the wall or online and say you have an opportunity to come and sound off at a microphone for a couple of minutes. We'll let you do it. We'll record what you say. We'll check off that we had those meetings, and then we're going to make the decision we made before you even entered the room. And let's be real, we all know that's what's happening here. We know that because this process has been complete bullshit from the beginning. And the fact that the maps are going to be voted on, we're now hearing, by November 3rd, is just further indication that nothing that has been said at any of these meetings is being taken into account in any meaningful or serious way. And as a resident of Onondaga County, who is supposed to be represented by this commission doing this work, I want to personally say on the record, I'm mad as hell about that. I'm offended by that. What we are talking about here is not a partisan game. We are talking about the essence of our democracy. This country is founded on a set of principles that we all hold very dear. The idea that we work together to do what's best for our communities. The idea that everybody has the opportunity to succeed. The idea that our voice matters. We are guaranteed by birthright a right to vote. That right is not a right in name only. That is about self-determination. That we as human beings with dignity have the right to have a say in what is done on our behalf, for us and to us in our communities. That's what democratic governance is about. That is why the right to vote is sacred. And that is why it is beyond partisanship. It's supposed to be beyond partisanship when we are talking about issues of protecting and strengthening democracy. And that's what this map drawing exercise is. We do this every 10 years, as Joan just explained so beautifully, as an opportunity to reevaluate our communities and to make sure that everybody is represented. It is supposed to be nonpartisan. You all know me as a very partisan Democrat. I am a well-known Democrat in this area. I argue with Democrats. I am lobbying my state legislators when the Democrats are in power to not gerrymander congressional maps in favor of density. Because gerrymandered maps are bad for all of us. I don't care who's in power. It damages democracy. It undermines our ability to be represented. It damages the health of all the principles that this country are founded on. And we need to be serious about protecting democracy. And that means when Democrats are in power, I say the same thing to them. Don't gerrymander my maps. I want fair representation. And guess what, folks? We know how to do it. There are experts who know how to draw fair maps. And it shouldn't be controversial. I also loved the phrase Joan used, the adults in the room. Guess what? Little kids, 4-year-olds, understand the concept of fairness. This whole process wouldn't pass muster with a 4-year-old child. Fair is fair. And what we are asking for is a fair process. When we have a fair process, we can trust the outcome. Sometimes that outcome doesn't go our way. Oh well, that's life. But if the process is rigged, we can't trust the outcome. We can't trust the process. We can't trust our government. And by the way, it has very serious effects on people's lives. This is not some abstract thing about lines on a paper. The representatives that get elected based on these maps determine how much money we get for our health department, which keeps us safe in a pandemic. They determine our rate of investment in public schools and environmental protection. You name it, the thing that you care about most in your life, The decisions are being made at this level. It's over $1 billion in funding for our communities that these folks get control over. The process to get them elected matters, and it starts with drawing maps. It needs to be fair. And I gotta say, I am not beyond calling out the partisanship. Thank you, Chris, for raising the issue. We were lied to by a whole slew of legislators. And to those who are on the commission, I hope other folks read these transcripts. My guess is they're not going to. I wouldn't bet your piggy bank on them looking at any of this stuff. To make a pledge to the people in order to get elected, and then to turn around immediately after election and throw away that pledge, and then have the audacity to look the voters in the eye and say, I never made that promise to you in the first place, is the most disgusting kind of political cynicism, and we cannot tolerate it. We cannot allow a process that is so fundamental to our freedom, to our representation, and to our community's well-being to be dominated by people who are putting partisan power above all else, and then we certainly cannot let them look us in the faces and say the other team is the one doing it. That is unacceptable. And as I said, I will take it to every Democrat to demand nonpartisan gerrymandering. And I'm put my money where my mouth is. I do it when the Democrats are in power. I'm doing it in the state legislature right now. I, as a resident of Onondaga County, cannot tolerate this process. I am furious that the local media is not doing a better job of informing the public. I am outraged at the behavior of this commission. I am infuriated by the behavior of the Republican caucus and the county legislature. And Mr. Hulslander, where I started, the absolute disrespect and contempt that I have seen from you in the very few meetings you have deigned to show up to for the people who step up here to voice their opinions is abominable. And I really wish that you were here to respond to that in person. I am demanding, on behalf of all of us, not only a fair process, but that the people who are charged with being stewards of the public good treat us with the respect that we deserve. Thank you.
Okay, that was our final speaker of the evening. So feel free to stay. Feel free to look at the map.
Can you explain to us?
Now that the public hearing portion is over, I agreed that I would not challenge Mr. Holzlander's decision not to have Q&A. But I am happy to stay and answer any questions about the map that Sharon and I drew. I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Of course, I have another meeting in my district.
Okay. All right. No, I appreciate it. And again,